Hi guys, I'm Lozzy and welcome to Beard Logic, and today we're going to be going for our top 5 games. Jordan's going to do his later on. Let us know what your top 5 games are as well. For the first game on my list, I'm going to take you back to 2001. Okay, the PlayStation 2 more importantly. And we'll just take a second to really just appreciate that console for everything it is. This is also a game I actually still own. Yes, I do still have a PS2. Come at me. Well, actually, don't come at me. Why would you come at me? Now, this game, Gran Turismo 3, if you had the weird version that was called like A-Spec, I did. I don't know why. I think it was eventually turned into another game. I don't know why, but anyway. Gran Turismo 3 really cemented my love for cars. Now, I remember being 7 when I first played this game, and there was nothing better than earning enough credits to get the better and more exotic cars. A really good point about this game was the tracks. I remember absolutely fleeing it around Laguna Seca, a quality track. If you don't know what it is, you're uncultured. You should know. And when I say fleeing it, I'm more accurate to probably just say letting the corners kind of guide me, because I do a lot of crashing as a 7-year-old. Brakes don't exist in my mind, still to this day.
Mate, I can't believe we were 7 when that game came out. That's just blown my mind.
It's disgusting.
I feel like we were like 12, but we couldn't have been. Fucking hell, man.
I loved everything about this game. The cars, the graphics. Oh my god, the graphics for a PS2 game. The graphics in that game were fucking brilliant. Even the sounds in this game were so satisfying. Every menu sound was great. Every selection sound was brilliant. And then even when you do something mildly bad, like, you know, delete a previous save game, the game wouldn't be like, oh, what are you doing, you twat? It'd be like, are you sure? Are you sure? Maybe. It's like, are you definitely sure? So yeah, actually, no, you're right. I won't do that because that's stupid. I mean, I need those credits, and that's why I love the game, because it will not let you make stupid mistakes without you having to be an absolute twat. This game still holds up in terms of gameplay, graphics, and overall design, in my opinion, and that's why it takes a place on this list at number 5. Right, number 4, it's a game that you probably didn't expect. Alien Isolation. And I'll tell you why, okay? Because it's not amazingly popular, but I do love the Alien franchise. That's kind of a bit of bias in my mentality, because I do love the Alien films. Well, I say the Alien films, Alien. It's the best one. Now, like I said, I'm a massive fan of the Alien films, so this game was already right up my street. But I'm not the biggest fan of survival horror games. But this game managed to captivate me from very early on. This game is set 15 years after the events of the 1979 film Alien, and follows Amanda Ripley, daughter of the character in the film Ellen Ripley. And as Amanda in this game, you're tasked with finding out what happened in regards to the disappearance of her mother. But putting story aside for a moment, because that's not what makes this game great in my opinion, it's an awesome horror experience. Because the enemy that you're facing most of the time in the game, you can't kill. The best you could hope to do was push the alien back using flamethrowers and weapons like that. Standard weapons wouldn't work, you just would die. This means most of the time you encounter the alien, your goal is not to kill. Your goal is either to run away and hide or maneuver around. That's what creates the tension, that's what creates the suspense. Because at any moment, you could be killed. Every encounter with the alien is intense. You always fear that you're going to be caught. You can run for a bit, but not for too long, because the alien will eventually catch up to you because it's so much faster than you. So you have to use your environment in terms of hiding under things, running into corners, distracting the alien with certain parts of the environment. That is your goal. I remember walking around corners and checking every air vent and every hole in the ceiling, just in case the alien would slither down. So you're left to make decisions such as, your objective, say, is to go and press that switch, but you know the alien's around. Do you run? Do you use your energy to go and run to that switch and press it as quickly as possible? Or do you wait for the alien to appear and maneuver around and hide? Now, you do fight other types of enemies in the game. You've got humans early on in the game, but they're pretty much wank, to be honest. That's just to get a shooting part in the game. that gets done very easily and very quickly out of the way. Then you also have the androids, which is another big part of obviously an Alien franchise. They play a major role in separating when and where you encounter the alien. So for example, in a couple of areas in the game, you'll have like the alien is your main concern, and then you'll go through a section of the game where you won't see the alien for maybe about half an hour. The androids then become your problem. And let me just say, if you are a fan of the Alien film, this is the game for you, because this alien is the most accurate representation of that alien in the film that has ever been in a game, in my personal opinion. The overall appearance, the shiny head, you cannot mistake it for being the alien out of that film. The speed and the quickness of the alien is also something that I think they've realised very well in this game. For example, in other games you face other enemies, okay? In those games they give you so much time to be indecisive that it doesn't really matter what decision you make. It depends what difficulty you play it on, obviously. But in this game, no matter what difficulty you play it on, the alien is quick. You need to react or plan what you're going to do before you do it. If something goes wrong, you need to act quickly. If you don't act quickly, you're done. You're done. Putting all the game mechanics and everything like that aside, aesthetically and sound design in this game, brilliant. Encapsulates what the film tried to do. Every sound sounds exactly like it was in the film. Every vacant corridor, every vacant room feels eerie because you know there's something lurking around the corner. The eerie atmosphere is testament to the game and how they've translated it from the film. Now, I won't spoil anything story-wise, because let's be honest, it's not something amazing, but it's serviceable. That's not something, like I said before, that shines. It's about everything else in this game. Despite the lackluster story in some areas, this game is one of my favourite. And also, in a genre that I generally don't think is that amazing in my personal opinion, this game really did have to break through a lot of barriers to get to me. And it did. And it remains one of the best games that I've ever played. Our number 3 is Horizon Zero Dawn. And if you own a PS4, this is an absolute must buy. I don't care if you don't like open world games. I don't care if you don't like RPGs. Buy it. What am I looking for in a game? RPG, check. Open world, check. Good mechanics, check. Good story, check. Nudity, preferably. I mean, this game doesn't have a lot of nudity, but it still makes my list nonetheless. First of all, we need to appreciate the landscape and the graphics in this game, because the setting and the environments that Guerrilla have made in this game are brilliant. Now, if you're wondering who Guerrilla are, they're the people who created Killzone. So this is a bit of a jump to go from a first-person shooter to an open-world third-person action game. The game takes place 1,000 years from today. Not exactly today, but 1,000 years from now. Let's just say that.
So, that's today. Like,
well,
1,000 years from now.
1,000 years from about now.
Right, okay.
A race of machines now roam the land, and you are tasked to find out what has gone on and to combat these machines. You play a young hunter on her quest to find out what has happened. Right, I think we need to break down the enemy types in this game, because there's a fucking lot of them. And interestingly, most of the machine types are based on actual animals that we know exist or have existed in our world. This means there's a large array of enemies. And this means they could be quick, small, big, tall, everything. And some of them combine certain traits to become even more powerful. Now, a lot of games have done this, but this game does it quite well. There are weak points on these enemies, and it's not just like you shoot the weak points and you destroy the machine. No. You hit the weak points and then it enables you to attack with greater damage the machine. But also there are stages that the machine goes through. For example, if you continually just attack the weak points of a machine, it'll actually try and hide its weak points and try and outsmart you and outthink you, which is something I think most AI and most enemies in games don't really do. There are many different ways you can approach combat in this game. I, for example, use mostly traps and the array of different types of bow and arrow types you can use in the game, such as explosive arrows, freezing arrows. Stealth is quite a big point in this game as well, although it's not entirely necessary that you are stealthy. Dealing critical damage to an enemy from a hidden point in the game will make you ultimately a much more effective fighter, but you don't have to. If you want to just go all arrows blazing, you can. Now, so I won't ruin anything about the story, but it is worth the playthrough. The story is fantastic, the voice acting is fantastic. Also, I've plunged well over 50 hours into the main campaign, not even looked at doing the fucking side quests, but there are many more hours you can spend on those. There's also loads of collectibles that you can do if you're that type of person. Also, there's a new Game Plus mode, which I think a lot of games now swaying towards doing. It allows you to keep your character but start the game story again. And this game, in my opinion, is one of the best PS4 exclusives, and for that reason and all the reasons I detailed before this, that is why this game is at number 3 on my list. At number 2, it's a classic, Gears of War, the first one. Not to say the others are bad, but the first one is the better one. Let me just say, Gears of War was the perfect game that Xbox 360 needed when it came out. If you haven't heard of Gears of War, which you probably should have done if you watched this video, but maybe you're just doing it to support us, so thank you. But Gears of War is a third-person cover shooter, and it revolves around a character named Phoenix, who is a soldier in the war against the Locusts, who are an alien race, who have somehow come from up in the ground to emerge. Now, first of all, let's just say when this game came out, okay, one of the first games on Xbox 360, it looked absolutely amazing. The environments, the character models and the enemy models were brilliant. I remember putting this game in my brand new Xbox 360, of which I had 3 of. Red Rings of Death, that's why I had 3 of them. I remember putting it in my Xbox 360 and just being in complete awe of everything. When I say being in complete awe of everything, I mostly mean being able to chop someone in half with a chainsaw. This game remains one of my best memories in gaming. What I'd do was I'd come home, I'd switch my Xbox 360 on, I'd whack Gears in, and I'd go and play. Shout out to you, Dan. Shout out to you, because we played the campaign on Insane, which is that is a fucking difficulty setting and a half. Managed to complete all the games, 1, 2, 3 and Judgment, not so much the other ones, but we got all those completed on Insanity level. So shout out to Dan, because he's a true brother in arms. The weapons and the enemy types felt powerful. You could really feel the power of weapons. For example, if you shot an alien locust, you would see them flinch with different animations for different weapons. So for example, if you shot them with a shotgun, they'd flinch more than if you shot them with a pistol. And let me tell you, you would never ever get bored of popping off a shot on a locust using a sniper rifle and watching their head implode. Great. Another strong point, much like the previous game, Horizon Zero Dawn, is the enemy types, because you had different types of enemy. You had enemies that were more tankish, such as the Boomer. You had enemies that were quick, such as the Wretches. But what I want to say is the most important point in this game was multiplayer. Now, I didn't play much of multiplayer because I wasn't amazing at the game, and why I partly admire the game is because it's so fucking difficult online. I've never seen a game be less noob friendly than Gears of War. If you are against someone who's good at the game, you are dead within seconds. If you watch someone who is good at the game versus someone who is actually good at the game, it's so intense. You'll see such a tactical battle of when they use grenades, when they decide to approach each other and try and chainsaw each other. But why I admire them so much is because many other game studios would have taken the criticism that that game fared and changed the way that it plays online. Epic didn't. They didn't give a fuck. If you were shit at the game, go and cry in a corner. So that's why I believe this game deserves so much credit, and in all honesty, nostalgia makes this number 2 on my list. Right, number 1, okay, is Fallout New Vegas. Don't come at me, I can feel people in the comments right now slating the fuck out of the game. I can feel it. This game is hands down my favourite game ever. I'm not saying it's perfect. It's far from. That's kind of what makes it my favourite. Now, I've easily put over 200 hours into this game, and I still don't think I completed everything. Now, like I said, this is going to be kind of biased, but it's my list, so the bias exists. Just accept it. And I think it's probably safe to say you could class me as a fanboy, but not one who goes on the internet defending everything they do, because no one can defend Fallout 76. Now, a quick bit of backstory about this game. Trust me to pick the only game that Bethesda Game Studios didn't actually make in the Fallout franchise, apart from the PC original games. I picked this game and it was made by Obsidian, who have never made a Fallout game again, probably because this one was rated highly amongst all the fans. As you can see from this list, I like RPGs and I like the post-apocalyptic setting. I won't ruin the story because in all honesty, again, it's not something that is absolutely amazing in this game. Basically, you are a courier, okay? You get shot in the head by someone named Benny, I believe, who, interesting fact, is voiced by Matthew Perry, Chandler out of Friends. Now basically the story revolves around you find out what happened because you can't really remember having had the fucking lead in your head. Now, as in most Fallout games, you create your character, giving them the appearance you want to look like, but more importantly, you get the ability to pick what goes into your special abilities. Now, I will break it down very quickly for you. It does stand for strength, perception, endurance, charisma, intelligence, agility, and luck. Now, deciding on your playthrough style is probably something you need to do quite quickly in this game, because you start to invest points in things that you later might want to do. That's probably a good idea. If you start investing points into strength and then decide later on you want to become a better smooth talker, you need charisma. So if you put all your points in strength, yeah, you can probably carry a shit ton of loot, but you can't actually speak because your intelligence and your charisma is so low. Not putting points into certain special abilities will actually block you off from certain things in the game later on. For example, if you don't put points into intelligence or charisma, like I said, you won't be able to unlock things. You won't be able to hack terminals. You won't be able to unlock different dialogue options later on in the game. This of course adds to the replayability of the game, creating different characters and doing different playthroughs. Now let me just say, in most of the other games the graphics have been a high point of the game. This is not one of those. This game is not graphically amazing, although I did very enjoy the setting. I liked the barren wastelands of the Mojave Desert. And being set in Vegas, you're expecting the Las Vegas Strip to come into it somewhere, and when you do get there, it is so different of an environment to anywhere else in the game. You really take a minute and just stand there and look at it in all its neon glory. You can actually see the Strip from a lot of parts of the map, and it looks quite good from a distance as well. The bit I liked most was discovering the vaults, and let me just tell you, you could spend hours going through the vaults, finding everything you wanted and discovering the story behind them. One that I remember and I will never forget is Vault 22. Now this vault really did stand out because it was in the middle of the Mojave Desert with a lush green forest growing around it. So naturally you probably go towards it. Now Vault 22 was a vault filled with scientists who were trying to be self-sustainable through using plants. And the two plants they decided to use was a type of fungus and something similar to a Venus flytrap. The story goes that the fungus actually became toxic and mutagenic to humans. Hence why when you go into Vault 22, you're actually attacked by humans who look like plants. And it's a theme that runs through most of the Fallout games. That is probably my favourite part of most Fallout games, is going into the vaults and finding out what happened. Because there was a vault in Fallout 3 in which every occupant shouted Gary, so make of that what you will. Gary! There's always so much more to discover in this game. You will go to locations and discover stories that you didn't even know existed on the second playthrough. Now there are probably many reasons I've missed out that I couldn't think of, but this is why, all these reasons put together, Fallout New Vegas is my favourite game, and it's why it tops this list. Well, I've been Lozzy on Beard Logic. Tell me what your favourite games are. Jordan will have a video going up later on that his top 5 games are going to be on. But I'll see you in the next one. Bye bye for now. Do we say Sweet One Geese on this or not? Or do we say Beard Logic?
Yeah, I need something that, like, I don't know, that you've just been logisticked by a bearded man. Beard Logic out. Cunts.